Yo, real talk. It's Sunday night and you're just laying there staring at the ceiling and you ain't even done anything all weekend. Like you literally chilled. You slept in, you watched your shows, you ate good. And somehow just knowing Monday is 12 hours away hits different. That whole chest-heavy, stomach-dropping not again feeling just creeps in out of nowhere. And the wild part? You can't even explain it, because it's not like your job is impossible. The work is whatever you've done it 100 times. You know how to do it. So why does it feel like you're already running on fumes before the week even kicks off? Why does Friday feel like getting out of jail and Monday feel like you're walking right back in? Most people, when they sit with that feeling, come to the same tired conclusion. They are like, I just need better time management, or I gotta start going to the gym, or maybe I need a vacation. They treat it like it's a them problem. Like if they just got their life together a little more, figured out some morning routine, or read the right self-help book, the exhaustion would bounce. Nah, that ain't it. Here's the thing nobody's saying out loud at your all-hands meeting or in your company newsletter. The burnout most corporate workers are carrying around, it's not really about how much work you're doing. It's about what's happening underneath the work. This whole invisible layer of stuff that the organization produces non-stop, that nobody tracks, nobody measures, and nobody's ever going to put in your job description. Ever. To really get this, you got to think about what your corporate job actually asks of you, not what it says on paper, but what it actually takes out of you every single day. On paper, your job is tasks. You write stuff, analyze stuff, manage stuff, build stuff. That's what the job posting said. That's what your performance review is going to be about. Cool. But in real life, before you even get to any of that, you're doing a whole other job that nobody hired you for. You're reading the room the second you walk in. You're clocking who's in a mood and who's good. You're figuring out if this is a speak up in the meeting kind of morning or a keep your head down kind of morning. You're translating whatever vague thing your manager said into something you can actually act on. You're making sure you come across the right way, not too extra, not too checked out, not too thirsty for the promotion, not too unbothered either. You are basically doing a whole social performance before you've touched a single thing on your actual to-do list. And that performance, it doesn't clock out. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it emotional labor, the ongoing mental work of managing how you show up in a space that has its own unspoken rulebook. And in a corporate setting, that labor is on 24/7. Every Slack message has a vibe. Every meeting is also low-key an audition. Every interaction with a senior person is a chance to either make a good impression or accidentally step in something. And even in the quiet moments between all of that, your brain is still running in the background, replaying what you said in the last meeting, pre-gaming what you're going to say in the next one. That never stops, and that's a lot. Think about what an average Tuesday morning actually looks like on the ground. You log on. You haven't even had your coffee yet and you're already scanning your messages, not because you want to, but because not checking feels risky. You see a few things that need responses. One of them is simple. One of them is tricky because the person who sent it is touchy and you got to word it just right. You spend 10 minutes on a 2-sentence reply. Not because it's complicated, because the situation around it is. Then you got a meeting. The meeting is about something that was basically already decided before the meeting even started. You already know this. Everybody in that Zoom knows this. But the meeting still has to happen because meetings aren't really about making decisions. They are about everyone agreeing out loud that a decision was made together. It's a vibe check disguised as a strategy session. You say the right things at the right times. You laugh when it's time to laugh. You nod a lot. You stay aware of who's watching you and whether you're coming across as someone who gets it. You leave the meeting and you got like 20 minutes before the next one. Not enough time to actually do anything real. So you do email. Then you hop on another call. Then you come up for air around 2 p.m. and realize your first actual hour of focused work hasn't happened yet. And that's just Tuesday. What this does to your brain over time is wild, because the tired isn't just physical tired. It's that deep, scattered, foggy kind of tired that comes from your brain being yanked in 6 directions all day without ever getting to actually land anywhere. You're never fully in one thing. You're always kind of halfway somewhere else. And that constant switching from deep thinking to small talk to email, to meeting to trying to remember what you were actually doing that runs hot. That drains you in a way that 8 hours of sleep doesn't fully fix, because the issue was never about sleep. The issue is that your brain never really got to rest in the first place. Now here's where most people fumble. They look at all this chaos and they go, okay, I need to get better at saying no, or I should block off focus time on my calendar. And look, that's not wrong exactly, it helps a little, but it doesn't touch the real thing, because the real thing isn't a personal problem. It's a structural one. It belongs to the org. Here's what companies actually are for real. They are not efficient output machines. They are social systems built to manage uncertainty. And what a social system needs more than anything isn't efficiency, it's the feeling of control. Managers need to know what's going on. Leadership needs to know things aren't on fire. So you get layers of reporting, status updates, check-ins, decks that nobody fully reads, meetings about meetings. None of that exists because it's useful. It exists because it signals that stuff is being watched and accounted for. It's the organization taking its own temperature over and over again. And all that anxiety, it gets passed down. It flows from the top through the layers until it lands on the people doing the actual work, who then have to spend a chunk of every day doing the work of making everyone above them feel calm and in the loop. That's real labor. That's your energy. And it's not in your job description. What trips people up is that most of them are genuinely putting in the effort. They think, if I'm thorough enough, responsive enough, if I stay visible and keep delivering, I'll get recognized and rewarded. So they grind. But here's the thing, they are not seeing they are grinding on two tracks at the same time. One track is the actual work. The other track is the performance of doing the work. Making sure the right people see them doing it. Making sure they are coming across a certain way. Managing the optics constantly. And over time, those two tracks get so tangled up you can't separate them anymore. You don't know when you're actually contributing versus when you're just making sure people think you're contributing. And both of those things cost energy. Both of them pull from the same tank. That's the trap, Loki, not the workload. The trap is that your job has two jobs inside it, the real one and the invisible one. And the invisible one runs all the time underneath everything, using up fuel you didn't even know was allocated to it. Most people feel this. They just can't put it into words. They know something's off. They know work takes more out of them than it logically should. And because they can't figure out what it is exactly, they blame themselves. They think they are not resilient enough, not disciplined enough, not built for this. But that's not the read. Asking someone to just be more resilient inside a system that's structurally set up to drain them is basically telling someone to swim harder to avoid getting wet. It sounds like advice. It's really just a way of making the problem their fault. And here's the thing that nobody in leadership is going to say at the quarterly town hall: most organizations don't actually need you fired up and fully alive. They need you functional, present enough, performing adequately, not causing any drama. Full aliveness, honestly, is kind of inconvenient for a big organization because fully alive people ask hard questions and push back and want things that go beyond a salary bump and a pizza party. So the system naturally drifts towards something lower energy. It ends up rewarding the people who've learned to look good even when they are running on empty. People who've cracked the code on managing up, staying visible, knowing when to talk and when to fall back. And sometimes the people who are best at the actual work, the ones who put their head down and deliver, they look up one day and go, "Wait, how is that guy my boss?" And the answer isn't that he works harder, it's that he was better at the other job. The invisible one. That realization, when it hits you, isn't going to be dramatic. It's not going to smack you in the face. It's more like a slow exhale, like, oh, that's what's be happening. The exhaustion was never really about the work. It was about all the stuff wrapped around the work. The performances, the politics, the constant low-grade awareness of your position and your image and your relationships inside a machine that mostly just wants you to keep showing up and not make it complicated. And the most slept-on part of all of this is that most people respond to feeling drained by going harder at exactly the things draining them. More availability, more responsiveness, more visibility, more trying to be seen in the right light by the right people, which just feeds the machine more. You can pour everything you got into an organization and it will take it all. Every drop, because it's built to. The real question, the one worth actually sitting with, is whether you've ever stopped to look at what you're optimizing for, and whether what you're exhausting yourself to build is actually the thing you set out to build in the first place.